Hello, hi, my name is Kumar, and I'm based in the Brookfield Asia College, and I've been a law lecturer for some time, and become a trainer in the year 2000, and I've been a trainer for almost 20 years now. And I'm here to speak to you about the importance of critical thinking, especially in the current environment. And so, very quickly, what I'll do is I will get into it, and we have about 25 minutes to half an hour to do this, which is usually a 2-day program. So, I'm going to give you a summary and the fundamental principles of critical thinking. So, let's get to it quickly. So, what we're going to do is first we will talk about the definition of what is critical thinking, and then we'll go into the principles behind critical thinking. Okay. So here we go. This is the slides which I want to share with you as we go into the discussion. I'm calling it critical thinking in crisis, and the first thing I would ask you to do is to be able to pause. Sometimes we don't pause very much. We are constantly busy, constantly stuck in a rut. So it becomes really important for us to pause. And if you don't, on our own, pause, then life itself sometimes forces you to pause. Because when you pause, what happens is you begin to reflect. You'll begin to reflect about life itself. You'll begin to reflect about yourself. You'll begin to reflect about your rights and wrongs, and so on and so forth. So it starts with pausing, and then it goes into reflection. And once you go into reflection, what will happen is another phenomenon, a new phenomenon, which is called discover. And discover is a thing that will take place quite naturally the moment you know how to reflect. And reflection will also happen quite naturally when you know how to pause. So it all sort of has a connection. Pause, reflect, discover. And then once you've gone into that discovery mode, that means you're finding out new things about yourself, finding out new things about life itself. Then you go into making new decisions, okay? And it's so important to make new decisions because we are so caught up in making decisions that our decisions are very reactive. And so we tend to make the decisions on a daily basis based on our all knowledge and all knowing. So it's really important to make new decisions. And one way to do that is to discover. And one way to discover is to reflect. And one way to reflect is pause. Okay, so it all starts with pausing. Okay, so for the next 25 minutes or so, use this opportunity to pause. Okay, which means not just to physically pause, which means you're looking at the screen now, you're looking at me, you're looking at the slides, you have physically paused, but your mind could be wandering all over the place. So what I'm saying is not just physical pause, but also mentally, psychologically, mindfully pause as well. Okay? All right. So just be here for the next 25 minutes. Okay. I'd like to tell you all a story about a nuclear power plant. And I'm calling this food for thoughts. Okay, so here we go. This is the story. Now, once upon a time, there was a major technical problem at a nuclear power plant. And energy generation was slow, and the entire efficiency of the operation was dying. Okay? And so what happened was they had to call in, they tried their level best to solve the problem. They had their own engineers to solve the problem. But unfortunately, they could not seem to be able to find what's the root cause, what's the real problem. Okay, they were looking for problems, but they found symptoms of the problem, but they could not find the real problem. So what they did was they brought in one of the nation's top consultants on nuclear power plant construction and engineering to help the plant. And so what happened was, the consultant arrived, spent 2 days walking around the power plant, studied the situation, examined the tools, took notes and made some calculations. 2 days, all right, of doing all that. And what happened was, at the end of the second day, this consultant climbed up a ladder, put on a large black X on one of the gauges, and he said, repair this and you will be fine. He said, and he left home. That's all he did. Just put the X there with a little, like a paper marked X. And he said, just do this and you'll be fine. So the people around the plant was quite amazed. He said, that's all you did? I mean, 2 days and that's it? So I said, yeah, just do that. And so what they did was, they actually did that, and lo and behold, the entire power plant was now running in tip-top condition, just that gauge which he marked. And so the engineers repaired the problem. True enough, the plant was back to full capacity. A week later, the consultant billed the plant 10,000 USD for the services rendered. Okay, that was his bill for his services. The plant manager was pretty taken aback. He said, yeah, while he acknowledged, yeah, you did a good job of, saving the plant millions of dollars because of your diagnosis, but he couldn't digest the bill accounting for 2 days and the big black X. He said, what in the world? You're charging 10,000 USD for just 2 days of work. This is crazy. And so what happened was, it seems that all you did was to write X on a single gauge. $10,000 appears to be excessive for this amount of work. So the plant manager wrote back to the consultant saying that I received your bill, but could you please break down and itemize your charges, right? So whenever I do this exercise in a training room with actual participants face to face, I always ask them to, imagine you're the consultant and I want you to now itemize your bill. And they will come up with all kinds of lists, hotel, food, transport, expertise, and all that. So they'll break it down like, like 3,000 for transport, 2,000 for accommodation, 1,000 for food. So they will come up with all kinds of breakdown. But you know what this consultant did? This was his itemized bill. Okay, so he said, for the mark X is 0.01 cent or penny or whatever, okay? But 9,999 is to know which gauge to put the mark X on, right? Knowing which gauge to mark the X on. So this is the bill that he sent back to the plant manager. And the plant manager looked at it and he sort of understood what the consultant was talking about. The mark X itself is nothing. But as a top consultant of the nation, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly where the real problem is. And what I'm saying is, in line with the story, is we are faced with problems. We are faced with challenges. We are faced with all kinds of tasks in this time and age. But the ultimate answer to this is, you may even have a lot of solutions, but it is to know that real problem behind the problems, the root cause of the problem, and then going after that root cause is the actual solution. That is the the solutions of all solutions. So this is what we need to do, okay? Not look at the symptoms of the problem and then just solve it as it arises. We call that firefighting. So firefighting is not a good idea. It is to basically make sure the fire doesn't happen in the first place. And for that ability to arise, you need to have critical thinking. And I'm not talking about just normal critical thinking, but intense critical thinking, all right? So let's get into that. Okay, so some days later, the plant manager received the breakdown, and this is what he got, yeah? Okay, so for discussion, the moral of the story, as I told you, is to deploy critical thinking and then find the root cause of the problem and then find the solution of all solutions and then get rid of the problem once and for all. Don't make sure the problem does not recur over and over again, okay? And that's the moral of the story. So it is not how sophisticated or in what fashion you're putting up the mark, okay? But knowing where to put the X in each part of our life is the critical determinant in everything that we accomplish. Okay, are we good? Okay. All right, here we go, guys. So that was the story, and I hope you got some key words or key answer from that story. Okay. So critical thinking is about thinking about thinking. Okay, because if you talk about just thinking alone, most of our thinking is very reactive because we've been fed from the time we were small. We've been fed, this is right, this is wrong, this is bad, this is good, this is the way, this is the solution, this is the way you'll find your answer. So we've been fed, we've been fed, we've been fed, we've been fed, not just food, but we've also been fed with ideas and theories and concepts and formulas by everybody around us, from media to parents to siblings to family members. So that's just thinking. But now I'm asking you to deploy critical thinking in your life where you begin to think about thinking. All right. So critical thinking is about thinking about thinking. Okay. So rethinking about what you have been fed all your life. All right. Moving on. So if you want an actual definition, like a proper definition of critical thinking, well, this is it. A sequence of rational, logical, and non-emotional thought process in the direction of ensuring the accuracy of a belief. That means you have a belief, right? Even the beliefs that we have are also fed by people around us. So now I'm asking you, not belief, sorry, this is spelling error. This belief, B-E-L-I-E-F. So I'm asking you now, even take those beliefs that you have and start looking at it and trying to understand it and see whether the belief that you have is actually accurate or not. Is it able to hold water or is it leaking? All right. So, and I like the word non-emotional because sometimes when we have beliefs and theories and formulas, we make it so much of our own that we get emotionally attached to those beliefs. And once you're emotionally attached to those beliefs, then it becomes difficult for you to let go of it. All right? Okay. So I like to talk about the three techniques in getting into critical thinking. Okay, we call this paradigm shift. Now, first of all, your mind has to become soft. It has to become soft. Now, what do I mean by that? Like sponge. And what is the function of a sponge? It absorbs. It absorbs. It absorbs. Okay, it absorbs. Not only it absorbs, you are able to take the absorbed sponge, go to a plant, and then squeeze out the water and then help the plant grow. So your mind has to be the same. It has to be like sponge, soft. meaning you're able to absorb new learning, absorb new knowledge, absorb new lessons of life from anywhere, all right, from anywhere, and then go to someone or somebody and squeeze that knowledge out of you into that person and help someone grow. So that is the first one, okay, the sponge. The next one is you got to become like rubber band. The mind has to become like rubber band, which means it's flexible. You're able to maneuver it, you're able to stretch it, you're able to stretch it this way, you're able to stretch it that way. So your mind has to be stretched. It has to be challenged. It has to be stretched, or else it is not going to grow. It is not going to become what it's supposed to become. Okay, so the mind has to be stretched in all direction. Okay, and allow that to happen. Allow the mind to be stretched. All right. The next one is you're able to shift at any given time. Your mind must be able to shift at any given time. And if you look at the picture here, on the one hand, you will see a rabbit, and then suddenly on the other hand, you can see like a bird, right? But it's all in one image. So what is this trying to say? It's trying to say that every problem does not only have one point of view or one angle to it. There are many angles to a problem. You can look at the problem from many different directions. You can take other people's point of view. So everybody will have their own opinions and angles in the way to look at their problem. So your place, your role is to accept and incorporate all the points of view in the way we look at problems. That is why problem solving in a group is much more effective than trying to solve a problem by yourself. So go into collaborative problem solving. There you'll be able to, but the thing is, you must be able to accept other people's opinion, or else you're not going to be able to use critical thinking. Then you're going back to your reactive thinking. All right? Okay. So that is the 3S technique. So very quickly, let me just talk about what are the conditions for critical thinking. Okay. Well, first one is always question the norm. Always question the norm. What is norm? What is normal to us? Okay, the COVID-19 came and it made us to question everything that we have been doing in our lives. The way we operate, the way we behave, the way we eat, even the way we travel, the way we basically do everything, even the way we study. So I'm saying, don't wait for COVID-19 to force you to start questioning the norm. Are you going to wait for the next COVID-20 or COVID-21 for you to say, okay, now let me see how I can question the norm? Don't wait for those things to happen. Don't wait for a big calamity to happen before you question the norm. Question the norm now, when things seemingly are normal. Okay? All right. And so that's the first one. Second one is think beyond the obvious, right? Think beyond the obvious. There are many obvious things in your life. You know, your family is obvious, your education is obvious, your future seemingly may be obvious, but go beyond the obvious, okay? Because there are more stuff that is happening beyond what you see. Things are not as it seems, all right? Things are not as it seems. Let me tell you that, okay? So as a critical thinker, you must be able to think long-term, think laterally, and think deep, okay? Whatever you look at, think far, think wide, think deep, okay? So think beyond the obvious. Don't get caught with the obvious. The next one is have the courage to use what if, okay? Have the courage to use what if. What do I mean by what if? Ask the question, what if I had all the money in the world? What would I really do with my life? Okay, and that's one way of deploying critical thinking. Because if you had all the money in the world, wow, you would not be stuck with money issues, money problems, and all that. And now you're able to think about some really creative stuff, like even helping a community to grow. Because now since you have already the money with you, now you can think of all the things you can do for the world, or you can do what you can do for the people around you. And so start thinking that way. What if all my problems are settled? What would I be doing? Okay. What if I only had another 5 years to live? What would I do now? Okay, differently. So you start valuing life. You start valuing time. So use a lot of what if. Okay, and have the courage to do so. And then the next one is allow for different points of view. As I told you earlier, whenever it comes to collaborative problem solving, it is always good to allow for people's point of view to come to the best possible solution. Okay. The next one is refrain from giving reactive answers. Sometimes we are so quick to have all the answers, to seem like we have the answers. So we are waiting to blurt out our answers. Well, hold it. Okay, we don't always have to look clever. You don't always have to look smart. You can hold back. You can hold back, and maybe you can listen to other people's point of view first before you come up with your answer. So don't react, but respond. Okay, so these are the conditions for critical thinking. Okay, question the norm, think beyond the obvious, have the courage to use what if, allow for different points of view, and refrain from giving the superficial answers or reactive answers. Okay, so to solve a problem at its root, not just the symptoms, but at its root, critical thinking is of prime importance. Okay, so we understand that, yeah? So problem solving says we cannot solve our problems with the same thought process, with the same thinking we used when we created them. The other thing is there's an assumption here by Albert Einstein. He says that we created our problems. God did not come and create our problems. Nobody came and created the problems for you. You created your own problems. That is one assumption, which is a very strong assumption. So what Albert Einstein is saying, we cannot use the same thinking as we created our problem to solve the problem. So this is why we have to now completely change our thinking pattern to be able to come up with a solution. And that is why critical thinking is so important today. Okay. So conditions for creativity. Okay, if you want to be creative, this is what it says. L, live with passion. I, intuitive search. Go into intuitive search. Listen to the heart. Use your intuition. Use your instincts. Use your gut feeling when it comes to creativity. Usually gut feeling or intuition goes with enjoyment, goes with fun, goes with anything that is enjoyable. So listen to that heart, okay? It is not serious. The mind becomes very serious, but the heart is out for partying. It wants to have fun with life. So use that intuitive search. And then F is field of all possibilities. Okay, go into what is the field of all possibilities. Because in your hearts of heart, the possibilities are endless. It is almost limitless. But your mind, possibilities are not so unlimited. It has its start and it has its end in the mind. Okay, there's an opening, there is a closing. But for the heart, the hearts of heart, there's immense possibility. Okay, anything is possible. All right, so that is the F. And then go into crazy thinking. All right, crazy thinking, eccentric thinking, a bit crazy, uncommon thinking. And that is why if you notice some of the great artists, they're a little bit, wacky, a little bit crazy, a little bit out of this world. And so you have to become that for you to be super creative. But it's in you. You don't have to go and learn how to become a little bit crazy. It's in you. The child is in you. So live with passion, listen to the heart, intuitive, field of all possibilities, get in touch with that, and eccentric thinking, uncommon thinking. All right? Okay. I'm not going to do this one. This one will take a bit of time, so I'm going to pass this. Okay, but if you have time, you can do this. Divide a piece of land into 4 parts equal in shape in area, okay, and see whether you can do it. Okay, then we go into Scamper, okay. I just want to introduce to you this thing called Scamper. Now, what is Scamper? Scamper is these words. Wait a minute. It is to substitute, combine, adapt, magnify, put to other uses, eliminate, rearrange. So what is the explanation of all this? Repackage, replace, swap. Combine is to blend, join, mix. These are all the things that your mind, the acrobat mind, can do if it allow it to do. Adjust, alter, incorporate, boost, extend, reduce, shrink, apply, deploy, place, use, abolish, cancel, purge, remove, change, restack, shuffle. Now, it's too much to take in, correct? It's too much to take in. Just remember this one. I don't know whether you played with Playdoh when you were little. Okay, some of you all maybe still playing with Playdoh, which is good. I encourage it. Okay, now what can you do with Playdoh? You can do all kinds of stuff with Playdoh, right? The clay, right? You can substitute, you can combine, you can adapt, you can magnify, you can put to other use, you can eliminate, and you can rearrange, and you can reshuffle it, you can reverse it, you can do wonders with Playdoh. So what I'm saying is, go back to your Playdoh, take some Playdoh, and just play with it. Just rearrange it, reshuffle it, reshape it, whatever you want to do. Just do whatever you do, because that's the same thing you can do with life. That's the same thing you can do with your life. You can reshape it any which way you want to. You can readjust it. You can substitute it. You can magnify it. You can minimize it. You can do. So the moment you understand life can be like Play-Doh, then anything is possible. All right? So that is why we have to understand the art of playfulness. That is why children, they are very creative. Why? Because they always question. They always say, why is this like that? Why is that like that? Why is that sky like that? Why is the cloud that way? How are babies born? They're always questioning. So they're very innocent. They're very playful. So we become that way again. Okay? Again, childlike, not childish, but childlike simplicity. A sense of wonderment, looking at the simplest thing in awe. Okay, if you have a garden, go to a grass and look at it in awe. My goodness, look at this grass, look at this blade. So have that sense of wonderment again in your life, and see the funny. Find the funny in everything. Have a good sense of humor and find the funny. And so if you can do all this, then critical thinking is not a problem at all. Okay, I saw this thing in Malacca once. It was amazing for me because I've seen cracked floor before, but I've never seen this. So the owner of the house, what he did was, he, instead of replacing the cracked floor with proper tiles and spending about 6,000 doing it, so what he did was he took different colors and painted each crack with different color. And I thought it was fantastic. It was amazing. It was almost beautiful. It was like an artwork. And so what he did was he said, hey, why do I want to waste my money? What do I want to replace with some new tiles, which is going to cost me 6,000 anyway? I'm just going to do this. And this is what critical thinking is all about. It's just simple things like this. You can also try this out. take a piece of paper, scribble something out, just scribble something out, and look at it from different angles, and and see whether you can actually create a picture out of it. Like maybe you can see a dog, or maybe you can see a face, maybe you can see a puppy or whatever, okay, and draw it out. And so train your mind to look at something out of nothing, okay. Another thing for creativity is you have to find the need, okay. When it comes to innovation or creativity, you got to find the need. What is the need, okay? And so that helps in problem solving and find the necessity behind it, okay? It's the necessity, by the way, is the mother of all invention, okay? I saw this door in Jalan Ampang once. I was visiting a friend, and I was trying to cross a big monsoon drain, and guess what? Somebody has actually taken a door, which was probably going to be dumped anyway, and they put it across the monsoon drain, and now people are able to walk across the monsoon drain without having to go all around, okay? And it's very safe because the door was pretty strong. So I think this is, again, innovation is really about problem solving, okay? So if you understand problem solving, you're actually a problem solver, then you are an innovator, all right? You are an innovator. I'll give you a simple example. You know, bags has been invented hundreds and hundreds of years ago, correct? Okay. But the wheel has been invented thousands of years ago. But only last century, someone thought of putting a wheel to a bag. And the guy who actually invented the wheel with the bag probably made millions of dollars. But why did it take so long for human beings to take the bag and take the wheel and put it together? Again, it goes back to the lack of critical thinking, lack of creative thinking, lack of innovative thinking. So what I'm saying is you can be sitting right here and thinking of ideas after ideas because you're questioning the norm. So the more you question the norm as it is, the more you're going to be deploying creative and innovative thinking. All right. Simple example like this, in a supermarket, okay, you know, the counter where you go and pay. Now, there are two models. One is this model where there is a straight line and then people just go into the empty lines as it appears. Or the other one is just have all the counters with all the lines filled up. So when I ask the participants, which one do you think is more systematic? Which one do you think is much better, much efficient? You always say the first one with a long line, and then that, you know, then as it arises, you go in. Well, yeah, it seems like that is the best way. But some marketers in companies in like Tesco and Giant and in all these places, in Aeon and all, they say, no, the second model is much better. Why? Critical thinking, okay? Because every supermarket wants to make money. It wants to be productive. It wants to be profitable. So what they do is they go for the second model. You know why? Because right next to the counter, they have placed all the chocolates and all the Skittles and all the Smarties and all the Kit Kat right next to it. So the children, as they are lining up with the parents, they are looking at all these things and then they ask for it because they are waiting in the line. So the mom say, okay, we'll take a Skittle. Okay, we'll take a Kit Kat. Okay, we'll take a Mentos or whatever. So that sale increases because they're all lining up in those counters. So and they park extra counter with stuff to sell next to the payment counter. So that's how it works. Critical thinking. Okay, so the counters are placed right next to the counter, payment counter. All right. Okay, so time. Let's talk about time very quickly. There are three dimensions of time. There is the past, there is the future, and there is the now. Okay, and this is my final slide. If you want to be super creative, if you want to be super innovative, spend your time in the now. Spend the time in the present moment. Don't think of yesterday. Don't think of tomorrow so much. Spend your time in the present moment. Now, right now, all possibilities are possible. All right. So with that, I thank you very much. And if you want to get in touch with me and talk to me about critical thinking, my number is 012 603 9321. All right. So anytime you can get in touch with me and we can talk more about critical thinking. Thank you so much and signing out.